Hi, my name is Suela. I'm a biotechnologist by profession, microbiology, fermentation, winemaking, quality in wine, organoleptic evaluation are my expertise. Today, I'm going to chat briefly about the opportunities that one can access or one can take advantage of within the wine industry value chain. By the way, I'm owner of Sibella Wines. So today I'm just going to do this quite different from how I normally carry on with my live videos. I'm on Facebook Live. I will use the same live video and share this content on our Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So I'm going to avoid answering questions directly on the video, but I'll do later on respond on the comments that will be shared on this video. So please, if you have got any question with regards to wine, with regards to the content that I'm going to be sharing today, please leave the comment or the question on this video. So I hope you guys are having a fantastic day and you're ready for the weekend and you're still self-isolating, practicing social distancing and staying safe and staying at home as much as we can. So today I'm going to be sharing this much information with you while enjoying one of the sparkling wines from Sibella Wines. So it's I don't know if you have seen it before, but this is our sparkling Sauvignon Blanc. It's 100% Sauvignon Blanc, so that means we used only Sauvignon Blanc grapes to make the sparkling wine. It's made in a carbonated method, so it's also slightly sweet, and it's a very brilliant, summery, refreshing sparkling wine to enjoy on a good day, on a summer day. But it's got a really refreshing peach flavors and some passion fruit flavors and watermelon flavors, from the palate, and then as well on the nose as well. So it's quite an easy, sunny or summery kind of a sparkling wine that you would like to enjoy, probably on its own, but it can also go well as a paired or as a welcome drink, or even with a starter, if you can create that kind of a starter that can go well with this kind of a sparkling wine. So yeah, and it's trading at 120 a bottle. So if that's kind of if you would like to try it, you're more than welcome to inquire about that, or leave me a message or DM or email, and then we'll be able to deliver after the lockdown. So let me start, guys. So the content today, I've been talking about wine a lot. It's part of the things I love doing. I'm passionate about wine, and talking about wine is one of the things that I really enjoy doing. I think more than making wine itself, I love to talk about wine. So, and I'm at a point where I've gotten, I'm accessible to a lot of people, and I'm amongst the very first, not first, but amongst a few black women, young women in the wine industry. And how I got into the wine industry was purely out of passion, and after spending so many years in the industry, gathering skills and experience throughout various departments in wine, I then decided, I want to create something of my own. So basically now, ever since the start of my journey till today, I get a lot of questions with regards to how can one have their own private wine label, right? It's for me, it's something that I would say that when you ask somebody that kind of a question, it's quite difficult for anyone to give you that kind of an answer, and also you are not asking enough information for you to be able to penetrate, but to establish a business in wine. And I'm gonna explain why I say that, and I'm gonna explain why I feel like that. It's more like asking me, where can you buy a bottle of water? Where can you buy a bottle of water? I'll tell you to go to Pick n Pay and buy a bottle of water. That's what I'll tell you. But how is that answer helping you? That answer is not going to help you, especially as somebody who has no knowledge whatsoever with regards to, the ins and outs and how the industry works, and basically just wine knowledge in general, right? I understand not all of us can afford the time, the money, and the privilege to go out there and get ourselves educated, get ourselves skilled, in a sense that we'll be able to understand how certain industries work, so that we can equip ourselves with certain skills and knowledge and information and education, so that we can be able to face the challenges that would come with whatever path that we long to go on, right? It might seem like a waste of time, but it's never a waste of time for you to equip yourself with the right skills, with the right education, with the right knowledge before before you embark on anything. And it starts with a simple research that you need to take. This is not even about wine itself. This is just about any other industry. For every industry that you're not knowledgeable about, that you're not in, you firstly need to do, a thorough research. Because not all that, what is that saying? Not all that meets the eye, something like that. So what I'm trying to say is that you guys are making me want to comment now. I'm not gonna comment. I'm gonna comment when I'm done. So it's more like it's not always as it seems, if you know what I mean. And only when you understand how the industry works, when you understand the opportunities that are within a certain industry, a certain sector, then you'll be able to take advantage of those that are available, that are presented to you, that you actually can take advantage of as a young person, especially as a Black person in a white-dominated industry. I will just make it this all about the wine industry, and this is what I wanted to share with you today, right? As I told you, the only questions I'm getting day in, day out, every day is, how can I establish my own private label, right? So I get this question all the time. Every time somebody has a question to ask about the industry, is how a person can have their own private label, right? Okay, fine, that's okay. But the only concern here is that there is lack of understanding of how this particular industry works and what opportunities actually lie within this particular industry, and where actually people make the best out of the industry. But it's only when we understand how a certain industry works before we can be able to take advantage of opportunities that actually matter. Okay. So whatever we do, we have to think about it as a long-term thing, right? So it should bother you as a person if you want to go into the wine industry, and yet you cannot spend at least a couple of months researching, talking to people in the industry, asking the right questions, so that you can get adequate answers that can help you to make the right decisions in terms of how you're going to go about whatever it is that you want to do, and what exactly you should be looking at to take advantage of the opportunities that are there, right? It also should bother you that on something that you're willing to begin or establish, you cannot spend at least a certain time reading, studying, getting a little bit of knowledge, getting a little bit of skill, going out there and working for, the same company that does what you want to do in the future, so that you can understand how it works, so that you can learn certain skills that are crucial, that not anybody can feed you. Going out there and finding out what courses do you need to take for you to be able to understand this industry, to know how it works. If you know what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I make sense. So it should bother you that you don't want to know anything about what happens in the industry that you claim that you want to go into. I feel like that is just a recipe for disaster. As much as there are so many, I'm yet to speak about, the mistakes that I've done so far as somebody who went into an industry that at least I had knowledge about, that I had skills, that I had experience, that I had networks, that I had mentorship, that I had everything, but I still made mistakes. I still wasted resources. I still wasted money. I still wasted my time, and I still didn't make money. All right, so I'm just saying, but I'll share that with you guys next time in the near future. So here I wanted to focus on the opportunities that lie within a specific sector, which is the wine industry, guys. I am for young people taking advantage of the industry today in South Africa. I am for women, I am for black women, and for young people who want to take advantage of the industry, who want to be active role players in the South African wine industry, which is now open not only to men and women, but also to people other than white people. That's what I'm trying to say, right? But for people to be able to take advantage of these industries, I want you to listen now and listen to what I'm going to say carefully, because this is where you're going to understand where I'm going, right? So I'm going to discuss briefly how the industry works and the value chain, how everything connects to each other, right? So this is what happens, right? So when it comes to the wine industry, it starts with the farming, right? So we can never have wine without somebody being a farmer, without somebody being a grape farmer, without somebody making sure that quality grapes are produced so that we can be able to buy these grapes, so that we can be able to make wine, so that we can be able to sell wine, right? So it all starts with the farming part of it. So there is no way there can be a wine industry or a wine produced if somebody did not produce grapes, right? So I want you to understand that there are grape farmers. There are people who their business is to grow grapes, so that they can sell the grapes to people who make wine, who produce wine, right? Quite a few times, yes, you can get people who own both, who grow grapes, but then they also make their own wine, but it's not always the case. It might seem like that, but it's not always the case. In fact, it's a rare situation. And even if I had my own vineyard, I'm not going to be able to produce as much grapes as I would love to and at the quality that I would love it to be. So it's just here, I want you to understand that there are grape farmers, there is farming within the industry. So what do you need to be able to succeed and enjoy being part of the industry? You first need to find out, where do you fit in? Where can you survive? What are your skills that you can, plug into this industry? Some people are passionate about farming. Some people are passionate about crops. Some people are passionate about agriculture. And yes, today some people actually go out and study agricultural science, and they find themselves being passionate about this particular sector or this particular, field. And I feel and I believe that that particular person is the person who will make the greatest out of going out there and starting a business in growing grapes, right? So they can sell it to other people who are not necessarily interested or who have no means to basically grow their own grapes, right? That's just a part of it. That's where it begins. That's another important thing. Remember, I'm trying to discuss the value chain, the things that actually matter within the industry. I don't know how many black people actually own farms. I know one, I know two, that actually have a farm. I'm not sure if they're selling to other people or what is the idea there, but you can see already that there is actually that, if you know what I mean, opportunity. But opportunity needs you to have the relevant skills, to be prepared enough to know, I don't think I will be able to take care of a farm. Number one, I'm not a farmer. and I'm not interested in anything that has to do with farming. It's just the way I am. That's just me. So I believe that for me to be able to do what I do best, I would rather not try and be in farming. I cannot establish a vineyard. I don't have the skills. I don't have the knowledge. Yes, I can learn, but it's something I'm not interested in, right? So you guys get that, right? So once the grapes have been produced, right, and the grapes are now ready for harvesting, the farmer has to sell the grapes, right? So the farmer will sell these grapes to wineries, to sellers. Wineries and sellers now come forth. Now that's when we're going to focus on how to make wine. Wineries, sellers, they are the ones that buy grapes from farmers and then they make wine in their own cellars, in their own wineries, right? So that's where, do you understand now how the farmer benefits? He sells to wineries and sellers and private winemakers or private sellers or whatsoever, whatever you call it, anyone that sells, anyone that makes wine for that matter. See what I mean? So now we're going to discuss the part of the winery and sellers, right? This is a business model on its own. This is another part of the value chain. There can never be any wine if there is no processing of the grapes, right? You understand what I'm trying to say? So I'm just trying to make you see every part of this matters. It's not just about one particular thing that matters. Every single thing matters in this industry, right? So now there are wineries and sellers that process grapes to make wine and store the wine, right? So now once the wine is processed or the grapes are now processed in the cellar, in the wineries and sellers, if you ever were to establish a winery or a cellar, it would be in the aim to sell the wine, right? So it will be in the aim to process the wine and then you sell it, right? It's up to you who you would like to sell or who you would like to service. So there are different customer segmentations, customer segmentation even for wineries, right? So a winery can make wine to make their own private label. So they can make wine so that they make their own labels and sell, right? Then wineries can produce wine and sell the bulk to other wineries that need the wine as a bulk, and so that they can bottle it and finish it or blend it or whatever, right? So as a winery, you can make wine for yourself, or you can make wine so that someone else can take that wine and go make wine elsewhere, or go bottle it elsewhere, or go blend it elsewhere, right? So that's the other part of it. Or you can, basically, yes. And then now, as soon as that wine is made in the winery, you see, now we are done with making wine. That's another value chain. That's another important part of the value chain. Without the wine being processed in a cellar or in a winery, we can never be able to drink the wine. We can just eat the grapes, right? Do you see where I'm trying to go? And then, as soon as the wine is finished, the wine is produced, there's another part of the value chain that matters, and that is packaging, bottling and packaging. Do you understand that since I've started, every part of this is a business model. So it's farming, it's a business. It's winery, it's a business. I'm going to talk about bottling now. It's a business. So if you're going to ask me questions about how you can do stuff, it's important that you understand and you are aware of many other segmentations within the winery, the wine business. Everything is the wine business. All this that I'm going to talk about today, it's the wine business. Okay, different segments, different chains of this industry, and one cannot survive without the other. Okay, so now when we come to a finished wine that is finished, and now the wine needs to be bottled and packaged, then that's where we get the bottling part of it. The bottling part of it, it's also a business on its own. So owning a a bottling facility, it's part of the value chain within the wine industry. Just as much as making the wine, owning a cellar, and as much as growing the grapes and growing the grapes, farming, right? So in the bottling process, or in the bottling section of this value chain, right, this is where people who have the capacity, or rather they've decided to focus on the bottling model or the bottling business, they service other wineries, other sellers, and other people that are looking to bottle wine, but they don't have, the facility. They don't have the money to buy a bottling machine. They don't have the facility to bottle. They're not interested in that kind of a business, because perhaps they just want to process the product. They just want to process the grapes, and then now the bottling facility will bottle the wine for many other wineries, right? So everyone will come to the bottling plant and get their products bottled there and packaged there, right? So remember that for us to be able, so that's another business model, that is another part of the value chain. And remember, in order for us to be able to bottle wine, we need bottles, we need packages, we need labels, and we need corks, we need screw caps, so we need capsules. So do you understand that I'm going to be now talking about another part of the value chain? So we can't bottle wine and have it sold if there are no capsules, if there are no corks, and if there are no labels, and if there are no bottles. So somebody has got to do that. That is another part of the value chain. See what I mean? Do you understand what I mean? That is another business on its own, to either make or supply, right? Therefore, once the wine is packaged, it's bottled and packaged, the wine now has to leave the cellar. It has to leave the winery in order for the wine to be sold. So now, besides, I forgot one more important thing. How can I forget that? Before the wine gets bottled, in between the winemaking process, the wine has to be submitted to a laboratory throughout the winemaking chain, throughout the winemaking process, for quality and to track or evaluate the process of the fermentation process that would occur, analyzing the wine for certain analytical tests such as your sulfurs, to measure and make sure that the sulfurs are still on track, that they are not either low or high, the pH and acidities and alcohol, and many other things. So the laboratory as well is one of, it's part of, I need to switch off this. Excuse me, I hate this. So the laboratory as well is part of one of the most important sections in the wine industry value chain. We cannot be able to produce wine of great quality and successful production in wine if there is no laboratories, if there isn't anyone out there setting up a laboratory and offering that service. It's actually something that it's much more important for me, because I come from the quality in wine. So I've worked for like couple of years in the wine industry, working in a lab, analyzing, various stages of wine. And also I'm a biotechnologist, so I come from a rich background, a scientific background, especially in wine in particular. So if I'm speaking to anyone out there who has the same background as me, I think as biotechnologists, we should be looking into how we can establish our own laboratories, our own independent, or even sometimes partnered with the government, or with the government, how we can set up such businesses for ourselves. I hope that makes sense. And then therefore, as soon as the wine is bottled, as I said, and packaged, the wine therefore now needs to leave so that it can be distributed to consumers, which are me and you, people who drink wine on a regular, So now this is the part where we have distributors, right? So distributors are people who buy wine from wine producers and take it out into the market, right? So here is where you're going to find people deciding who they want to sell to. So your job is to sell the wine. You're basically a distributor. Your business is to sell the wine, and you're also very important in the value chain, right? So people who sell who are distributors, they would buy different brands, different wines from different companies, which is really best because it's much more important to have that variety, because that's where you're going to make your money. You won't necessarily be able to make money by selling one specific product in a market that is so saturated like in South Africa. So these distributors, they take the product, they buy the product from winemakers, not necessarily winemakers. Winemakers often work for wineries. So they buy from wineries and they buy from sellers and they go and sell them, right? But the thing is, these are the people that are going to help the wineries to sell the product, because wineries don't necessarily have an interest or the skills and sometimes the manpower to be selling their own products. And yes, sometimes they do. That's why we have things like tasting rooms where wineries can sell directly to consumers through the tasting room, or basically just sell on the internet, right? So distributors will buy the wine and then they will distribute it either to the local market or to export markets. So as a distributor, you can buy the wine and distribute it locally. And when you distribute it locally, you have an option to distribute to retailers, to hotels, to bars, to restaurants, etc. Right? And then export, that means that you're going to be selling the wine to other businesses similar to here in South Africa, outside the country. So you're establishing a different market and you are looking for a different business outside the country, right? That's what a distributor does. And then, so basically that's what happens. And then that's also important in the value chain, right? And then as soon as the distributor has sold the wine to, say I had a bottle store to Siwela Wine Bottle Store, right? Or Siwela Wine Store. Then I would have to sell the wine to consumers, to you and I, or to him and them, people who drink wine on a daily. And that is another part of the business, right? So this means that I also have an option to sell to other people who can resell, or I can sell to people who wanna just drink the wine and enjoy the wine. So I hope that I've shared a very informative subject, because I get a lot of questions with regards to how people can start their own businesses in wine. And I hope this video explains to this person asking that question, asking themselves at home, how can they start a wine business, that there is a wide chain in the wine industry. So where do you fit in? What do you want to do? How do you want to make your money? Where can you make your money? What are your skills that can complement the business that you want to be involved in? Like I told you, that in the wine industry, it's quite a longer range of opportunities that are there. Also, I would say in today's time, it's not yet really like big, but it's getting there. We have also other business models such as schools. that means you can be an educator and teach people about wine, right? But that's not really like, it is important, because if people don't learn about wine, how will they drink and appreciate wine? How will we grow the industry in general? So it is also important. And also we're having now a growing trend of bloggers and people like that who are part of the marketing part of wine, but in a modernized way. So I hope I really asked the question, because I know a lot of people have a question with regards to how can they start their own businesses in wine. So with the information that I've given, I hope it narrows it down to you and it makes you aware that there is a bigger picture than it actually meets the eye. There are more opportunities than it actually meets the eye. And it's only when we go out there, let's do research, let's do research, let's study, let's focus, if it's wine you want to make, read about how to make wine, read about opportunities, and first and mostly importantly, I wish people asked me about the challenges that come with not making necessarily, but that come with being in the wine business as a young person, as a black person, and as a woman in South Africa. But that is a topic for another day. But I wish people asked me, what are the challenges? Because the challenges are also where the opportunities are. I don't know if I make sense. I'll just say it like shortly. My biggest challenge at the moment, it would be finance in terms of capital, so that I can expand my business, but also so I can sustain my business, so that I can grow my business, so that I can compete, right? Besides capital, the fact that I don't have capital, and also outside the capital challenge of it is distribution, which means I'm unable to distribute my products to the market, which means slowly but surely it's affecting my business and the growth rate of my business and sustainability of my business. So if people asked more of such questions, we will all of us be able to be prepared for certain I also forgot that there's the legal part of the value chain. So it's quite a big thing. So there's also the legal part of this value chain, because at the end of the day there are legislations and rules and laws abiding to the wine industry as well. So anyways, I hope this information will really add some value into your life, and I hope that I've shared something exciting and something new to learn about. So, and thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day further. I'm gonna now have a chance to look at the comments and then I'll respond, guys, and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.